this month we are going to discuss Garth Williams, who was a American illustrator born in New York and of artistic family. His father was a cartoonist for Punch and his mother was a landscape painter. He went to London for a while. He thought about being an architect and gave that up. Went to art school in London and was there for a while until the Blitz drove him back to the United States. He was very prolific. He published over 70 books, and he published a lot of things for Little Golden, and they did them in many different forms. They redid them again and again because it was so popular. His first book that really got him to popularity was Charlotte's Web, which I think you probably know.
Mhm.
Most people do.
Yeah.
It was a big hit and has been around forever and ever. And of course, they made it into. Most people know they made it into a movie.
Right?
Yeah, right, a movie.
So he, what medium did he use?
He used a lot of black and white drawing. His basic thing is black and white drawings or some tonality. In the early days, when there was not a lot of color. They did a lot of things in black and white. There's his a beautiful one you can see. It's very subtle colors, and they didn't even do black and white. I mean, they didn't even do color on every page. This is a 2 colors, in fact. And though I guess they have several other colors. In these days, I'll tell you, it was very difficult. Color was tough for an artist because they had to you had to make overlays for every color. Had to do it mechanically. It wasn't done photographically. You had to make an overlay and redraw and put in all the different colors. You had to put in each one separately. But as you can see, the basic thing is the line drawing, the gray scale, and then he added the colors. Later, when color printing got much more cheaper and more prolific, he did everything in full color like everybody else.
And he was most well known for doing animals, right? Like giving kind of an expression and context to animals.
That's what I love him for the most. His children were okay. I don't know if there are any children in there. His children were fine. Yeah, there's people you can see there, but a little bit of a cartoony quality. As I say, his father was a cartoonist, probably influenced that. And they're fine and they're good. But it's the animals that seem to me to be his real strength, because he's able to make such a wonderful he's able to make them so human and so
like
so
the human
expressive.
expression, right?
It's so expressive. And puppy just walked through. That's our new mascot. That's the new Carl. And so you can see, I mean,
it makes it easy to connect to all of the characters because they feel very human-like.
Right. Here's a later one that he made with. You can see the animals are strong. There's some baby animals. This one was done for Little Golden, but you can see the animals. So that's the same.
So this is his later work, right?
Yeah, this is later. I don't know what this is. You can look at the copy right here. This is 53. It's not that much later, because Charlotte's Web was 51. So they're not that much later. But they've found that he's very popular, and that probably they just were willing to invest in the more expensive color process because they knew he was so good and was so successful. It was so successful, yeah. But I mean, look at this dogs in there.
I feel like this is so true as the puppy runs through.
Yeah. Right. He did a wonderful book. I don't know what the date of it was, called The Little Fur Family. It was a little tiny book. It was about this big. And the thing about it, publishers were bold in those days. It had a real fur dust jacket on it. And I had one when I think I was in the 1st grade. And I loved that little book, as you can imagine. And one day, a child came to visit, and she stole the fur dust jacket off. She stole just the dust jacket off the book. I was so upset. And my mother said, well, I think that child is very poor and doesn't have a lot of nice things in her life, so you should probably let her have it. But anyway, so my little fur family lost its fur.
And back then that wasn't common practice to do something like that.
No,
right? To wrap a book
bold.
in something because everything was so expensive to do.
Right, yeah. I mean, that they would have only done that for a very successful illustrator because they were trying to do something fancy, but they knew that they could sell enough to make it justifiable.
Yeah.
That thing.
So is most of his work all very similar? Most of it is like all animals. Is there anything that he did that was kind of out of the normal for everything else?
Well, there was one book that caused a lot of accidentally for as far as he was concerned, caused a lot of furor. It was called The Rabbit's Wedding. And the reason was that it was a black and white rabbit that got married. And it was banned in the South. It was
controversial.
Yeah, it was very controversial. And when he was asked about it, you see, they get to know each other and they get to like each other.
They do their courting.
Yeah, that's right. And then I think the story is that the black rabbit was very lonely, and he finds the white rabbit and he comes to love her, and so they get together and they have a little rabbit wedding. See, they're all dressed up in their.
Oh yeah.
See what
are those dandelions? You think?
I think so. Yeah, they look like dandelions
Yeah.
to me. They're all fancy, and the other rabbits celebrate, and then the final thing is it says, and the black rabbit was never lonely again. So, but it caused all kinds of trouble. But Garth Williams said it never occurred to me that it had any social context. He said it looked good to have a black and a white rabbit. I liked the style of it. It never occurred to me that anybody would translate it.
It was visually interesting at the time.
Yeah,
he didn't even put the context together.
No, he didn't. It didn't. No,
yeah.
He never thought of it as having any social context.
Right.
So we like Garth Williams a lot, and we've used a lot of his art in our Little Golden series. There's a wonderful one. I love the energy of those animals playing.
Mm-hmm.
They really seem
the enthusiasm.
Oh yeah, and they're obviously so happy, and they convey that so well. This is a lovely one. This one has been very popular, especially this year. Everybody has taken it as a sort of token thing to send to people, because it says "hang in there."
Hang in there as we go through
everybody's sentiment. Yeah, and he's capable obviously of a lot of humor. I love this one. Of the bear. I love the expression on that bear, and it's very imaginative. He's got a bear fairy godmother.
That's so cute, with the wand.
With a wand, yeah.
And he's wearing a tie.
Right. Yeah. Right. Yeah, his animals are interesting. They're a little bit dressed. They're never completely turned human. They're never completely anthropomorphized. Pretty much, but not completely.
But not quite.
They're always animals. Some animal artists get the animals into positions they couldn't be in, or they kind of give them hands or feet or things that they really couldn't do. Garth Williams never does that. He always stays true to their animal nature.
Like very authentic, with just like these small touches of like human feeling to them. Yeah,
that's right. Here's a nice one, a popular one too.
Go for it.
Go for it, yeah. Anyway, so that's Garth Williams, and he's a very great favorite of ours, and we're so glad to introduce him to you.
Thanks.
Show you a close-up view so that you can see some of the things we talked about. Here's the cover of the Three Little Animals, and here's a wonderful one of the picnic. You can see the expressions of the animals. They're playing ball here. This is so sweet. They're animals, and yet they're not. They're animals, and yet they're
human animals.
They're children. The cover.
Okay.
And beautiful subtle colors here used in these.
Their expressions are so cute.
He opened his eyes very wide and thought very hard. He does look like he's thinking very hard. There they are, having their wedding with their dandelions.
He's such delicate strokes.
Yes.
Like everything is so light.
Yeah, these are right. And here's this is a Simon and Schuster book, but then they also turned it into a Little Golden book. But again, they're both animal and so expressive as well.
Donkey. It looks so realistic for the time too.
Yeah, very realistic, and yet having that added human. The Laura Ingalls Wilder's series, those were all in black and white, and of course they, since being young people's novels, they didn't have a lot of
detail.
They didn't have a lot of illustrations. It just mostly there weren't just a few illustrations for
And some
every
little
book.
things,
Yeah,
like,
just
here
little
and there.
spots
Yeah.
and things. Yeah. And Charlotte's Web.
Wow.
It did the cover in color, but again, being a novel, it's interspersed with spots. And I said he wasn't good at children, but I didn't say he wasn't good at children. I said I prefer his animals, but his children are good. But you can see that's when you illustrate a novel, you don't do as much, do as many illustrations. And then here are the cards we were talking about. There's the gopher. There's the bear and his
tie and his fairy godmother.
Fairy godmother bear.
Mm-hmm.
And here's the one that has been so popular in the COVID
And this is the
times.
2020 card.
That's the 2020 card. We had a big poster on our door most of last year. And here's this wonderful one of these animals romping.
Okay.